So this is a great way to study color. This canvas is 1620, can be any size. Take some masking tape and block it off into different proportion squares and rectangles. These are 4x6, 5x7 range, maybe a little bigger in some places. And paint a bunch of different subjects and environments. Paint a coastal scene, a mountain scene, a wooded scene, a snow scene, a desert scene, more arid climate, a more humid climate, sunrise, sunset, midday. Paint a bunch of different environments all on the same canvas, so in the end you can see how light reacts differently to them. Use all sorts of reference and it will be a great growing experience. It helps you in mixing your color, it helps you in your observation skills, and laying down paint with confidence because you're not invested in these. They're not going to a museum, they're not going to a gallery, they're all on one canvas. They're not too precious. And when they're not too precious, I think you'll take more risks and you'll be more aggressive with your paint. So that first one was a painting of a coastal scene here in California, and this next one's in Southern California. And notice how every one of these I'm starting different. On this one, I started with that real warm in the mountain. And watch each painting how sometimes I'll start with the shadow shapes, sometimes with the light shapes, sometimes with the highest saturation or chroma of color. There's all different ways. You kind of go off your feel. Now, the more common, the way most often taught is you're working thin to thick or fat to lean and dark to light, which means you're starting with your darks in a much thinner paint and then you're laying thick. That is the most common, like what I'm doing right here, and I'm connecting all my darker shapes, values. And the reason for that is then you can get the transparency of the canvas bouncing through versus the more opaque paint in the light. But it's not the only way. Find different ways to lay your paint down as long as it's not going down muddy. The goal in these is, as you're seeing, I'm trying to get nice, clean color. Now, clean color does not mean high saturated color. Clean color means that it's harmonious with one color and the next, that it doesn't end up looking muddy. You can go full saturated color, which means, right out of the tube, but it's not going to be harmonious, right? It's not going to be muddy, but it's certainly not going to be harmonious. So there's that real balance of the elegance of grays. Now on this one, this is another coastal near my studio where I'm going to start with all my shadow shapes and bend the temperatures within the shadows to really kind of get a design shape. Next, I'm pulling in the color of water to get that vibrance, the jewel-like quality of water. And there was a fog bank off the coast, so I want to put that in. One other reason for doing these, why am I painting these other than, what I stated, is really internalizing. And there's a great quote by Solomon J. Solomon, and it is, "We do not get stronger by watching other men lift weights." That is I think, a pretty powerful statement. And to me, is internalizing. What does it mean in our field of creating these environments, creating these images, these paintings? Being a shape maker is, in order to put down our shapes, in order to put our color, our design, to improve our observational skills, we can read a lot of books, we can thumb through all the social media, we can look on the internet, millions of different images of paintings, but until we actually do it, we're really not internalizing the information. We can take classes, but we need to do it, and that's a big point I'm making here, is we need to make these paintings. So, did you notice I put the shadows in the mountain second rather than putting the shadows in first like I did on the coastal scene next to it? This one, the bottom, right? And the one that's going to go in the middle bottom, these will all be made up. Made up meaning I'm using different photo reference and combining it with my knowledge and experience of painting to create a new scene. The top three, the middle left, and the bottom left are all directly from observation from the photo reference. So you can see the reference, the amount of information I'm working from, and then the amount, that I'm making up. Even here, okay, all planes, I'm trying to get different colors on those tops of those bushes that you just saw. I'm cooling it to show that, okay, there's the warmer plane underneath, but then there's the cooler plane facing the sky, even though that's in shadow. And a big recommendation as I'm doing these, one thing I would hopefully motivate you to do is paint these. Paint lots of these. There's not much time invested. These are between maybe 8 and 15 minutes each. So A goal would be, can you paint 100 paintings in 1 year? That's an awesome goal. If you're painting large paintings and take you 4 hours, that's a huge chunk of time. But if each one of these is taking 8 to 15 minutes, we can do that. What you're seeing here is, this is a typical morning calisthenics for me. I'll come in the morning and paint a page full of these or a canvas full of these to kind of warm me up for the day. And by doing it, I'm not only warming myself up, I'm finding ideas of concepts and ideas and building color comps to work larger paintings. So on this one, notice that and when I get into the warms, you might think that the top left and this one, that the orange is really orange, but if you saw orange on the canvas, it's extremely muted. When things are far apart, we're trying to pull them closer together. And when things are close together, we're trying to pull them far apart as far as our colors and our saturation. So the one I'm just finishing up here, this is down in Southern California, a place called Crystal Cove. I wanted to do at least one with some architecture in there and how to develop, a little bit of atmospheric perspective and other things. So as I wind these up, I am going to take the tape off, which is the moment of truth, where you can really kind of see as they live on their own. They're, hopefully have a little bit of air and space to live in, so you can see, do they stand on their own as a success, and are they worth moving on to maybe work on a larger painting.